Eating Insects Athens 2018 Conference, History, Commercialization, and Cooking. William Hovey Smith. I'm the author of Backyard Deer Hunting, Converting Deer to Dinner for Pennies Per Pound. And as such, when I heard about this conference in Athens, I was very eager to attend it. I also have a couple of other interests. One is my new book, Create Your Own Job Security. Plan to start your own business at midlife. And here is an emerging industry that has enormous growth potential that few people are now engaged in. I also have yet another company, Hovey's Knives of China. And so this was an opportunity for me to show my cooking knives to a chef who actually cooks, eats, and serves insects to the public. What follows are 3 interviews to illustrate these different aspects of the conference. This is Hovey Smith with Hovey's Outdoor Adventures. And we're here with David Grayson. Hello. At a conference about edible insects, would you believe, held in Athens, Georgia. Now, David, yes, for at least the past several decades, you have been extremely interested in insects and in eating of insects. How did you get started with such a thing?
Well, sir, I was very interested in bugs when I was a kid, and I was a very, very picky eater. So as I grew out of my pickiness and became more and more adventurous, and my love of nature and of insects continued, one day an old college friend gave me edible insect snacks to try, and of course I did not hesitate. And that was a spark that lit a fire. And for many, many years, I spent hundreds of hours learning and foraging, making connections in the world of edible bugs. And I actually created a little bit of an archive, both on the computer and in terms of objects and unusual books, etc. Because the subject is endlessly interesting, because it has to do with our connection to nature and our past and our future.
Yes, sir. And so you have. Now, among the things that you have gathered here are a number of books in particular, including this edible forest insects, Humans Bite Back.
That's right.
Published by none other than the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN.
That's correct. Now, it's worth noting that the FAO, arm of the UN, has had several controversial and provocative reports about the importance of insects in terms of their nutrition, how easy they are to farm, and how important they've been culturally. This conference was in 2008 in Thailand, and like the other publications and statements that the FAO has done, each time there has been a certain amount of backlash in the media and in concerned citizens talking about, what do you mean we should be eating insects? This conference was really simply observing how important insects have been to many, many millions of people in various countries in the world. The conference was in February 2008, so therefore a little more than 10 years ago, and I myself spoke at the conference.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, of course, we have the mention of eating insects in the Bible.
Yes,
that's right. Which most Western cultures are familiar with.
That's right. And Leviticus as well.
Native Americans, yes, consumed insects.
That's right.
And here in the Southeast, we have no small number of insects.
That's right.
Are many of these edible?
Oh yes, quite a few, including several that are agricultural pests. So what's interesting is that not only could we be eating the pests that are eating our crops and therefore getting more food and getting more crops, but in many cases the insects that are eating our crops are more nutritious than the actual crops themselves. So in a way, protecting the plants by killing off the insects means that we're actually getting rid of the more nutritious food, whereas we could be eating both instead of poisoning both.
Yes. Well, assuming that you could find a source of non-poison insects,
yes,
meaning they hadn't been dusted with commercial pesticides.
Yes.
You hadn't sprayed the nest with wasp killer and then proceed to eat the larvae, which is not recommended.
That's right.
How would one proceed to go and gather some edible insects common in the Southeast and consume them?
Just as it is important to know your wild mushrooms before eating any wild mushrooms, The same thing is true of insects. A good deal of research has been done that generally shows that certain groups, ant species, even fire ants, are safely edible. Dragonflies, cicadas, pill bugs are edible. Beetles, for example, and caterpillars, and the Lepidoptera group, are much more diverse, so it's very important that you know what you're looking at. But it's just like anything else. It's just like bird watching. It's just like hunting. Understanding your quarry is super important. It's also worth noting that as much fun and excitement as one can have in foraging and gathering food from nature, it's also quite easy to farm insects as well. And a good deal of the people in this conference are talking about just that.
Well, yes, sir. Just as we hunters should know what we shoot, insect gatherers should know the bugs they eat. Yep, if you don't know it, don't eat it. And thank you very much for an illuminating conversation.
You're most welcome. Great to talk.
And I'm here talking to Jack Armstrong, whose family has an amazing business raising crickets for human consumption under very carefully controlled conditions. Jack, how long have y'all been doing this?
Well, our company's been in business 72 years.
Wow.
So I'm 66 years old, so it's a little older than me.
Yes, sir. Well, concerning what you do to make these edible crickets, first off, you start off, as I understand, with a very special breed of crickets.
That's right. We do the Acheta domestica, which my grandfather had found in Montgomery, Alabama, and proved to be a great fish bait during the late 30s, early 40s. And then by the mid-40s, he was raising them, had learned how to raise the black cricket. He's a big fisherman, and used those for fish bait. And that took a lot of time going out and catching your fish bait. So he started, right when he found out how to raise the black cricket, he went to Montgomery and got some of the Acheta domestica and started raising those for his own fish bait.
Yes, sir. Now, about those particular crickets, they differ from the black cricket in several important aspects. And what are those?
Well, number one, the skin is a little softer.
Yes, sir.
So that way it's easier for the animals to digest. Coloration for fish bait, the coloration of them was much better for fish bait and the odor that they produce.
Yes, sir. Now, about raising the little creatures themselves, you raise them, of course, by the hundreds of thousands.
An hour.
Yes, sir.
Our capacity, at full capacity, our Louisiana farm can put out 12 million crickets a week.
Wow, that is an amazing number of creatures of any sort. And they have their own little colonies in the way of sterile boxes that they're starting in. And they're fed very high quality food all the way through their lives. And where does your food source come from?
We have two feed companies. Purina is one of them, and Lone Star is another one. So we got two, and that's for quality control.
Yes, sir.
Because when you're buying commercial feed, sometimes something can go wrong. You might have a little chemicals or something mixed in there inadvertently, and that comes from the supply.
Yes, sir.
So we can detect real quick.
And I understand that you have extreme quality control so far as the temperature and the cleanliness of their growing containers. They're periodically purged, et cetera, and that you go through periodic Food and Drug Administration inspections.
That's correct. We are certified for our frozen crickets to be sold for human consumption. So the FDA makes several inspections a year.
Yes, sir.
I just pop in and check the facility, see what it is. On the cleanliness end, our growing equipment, we raise the crickets in plastic bins, and we have paper in there to give them standing room, and the paper is disposed of at the end of the cycle when they're sold. And everything that's recycled, meaning the plastic bins and the watering system, is cleaned very thoroughly.
Yes, sir. Now, if somebody wants to try some of these edible crickets, how are they available?
Well, there's a number of companies that are making them. The Hot Licks is one of them. They've been making for maybe 20 years. When I say making them, they'll dry roast the crickets, dip them in chocolate, or put them in suckers and things like that. Can do them. They dry roast some and just put them in packages. That's one of the commercial companies that's been there for a long time. There's a number of companies that are putting out mealworms and crickets, and We also can ship the frozen crickets
Yes,
to
sir.
people.
Now, you have a relatively small pack that people can order from you and have shipped frozen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Currently,
Tell us about those.
yeah. Currently, the way we're doing our frozen crickets, and like I said, that gets very thorough inspections with the FDA. We have them in 4-pound packs. It's like Ziploc bags we put them in, and then we freeze them. And we've got ice chests that we can use those for shipping out.
Yes, sir.
And 4 pounds would be the minimum. We've had orders up to 20,000 pounds at a time, and we've got containers for storing up to 28 pounds in one container.
Yeah.
And if somebody's got a 10,000 pound order, we've got pallets
Okay.
that will have stacked these boxes on.
Good enough, sir. And for the 4-pound packet, what would a person expect to pay?
With those, they'd pay about $45
Okay.
should be for that.
All right. So, you too can have your very own crickets. And where do they go to order?
You can go to armstrongcrickets.com, and we are the Louisiana division. We got 2 different cricket farms, and one's Louisiana, one's Georgia. You can go in there because we are commonly shipping the crickets out all the time. Our 800 number for the Louisiana farm is 800-345-8778.
Well, thanks very much, sir. And I believe, are you in fact the largest producer of edible crickets in the U.S.?
When you combine our 2 cricket farms, we produce more crickets than any other single farm out there. It's a family business. We've got 2 locations, and we have sold more crickets for edible insects over the past 5 years than anybody else that we know of.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, and good luck.
All right, appreciate it. You have a great day.
Yes, sir. I'm speaking with Bill Broadbent. And Bill is from Maine, which we don't think of much as insect country down here in the southeast. But believe me, they got bugs up there. We don't have as many species, but they got them thick. And Bill came by his entrepreneurial industry in a rather strange way. How did that happen, Bill?
Well, actually, my son asked me the question, why do you eat bugs? And I gave him a dad answer. He kept looking into it and talked about the health and environmental benefits, and pretty soon the whole family was interested.
Yes, sir. Well, now what particular bugs are you doing with up in Maine?
Well, crickets are a big one. Chapulines from South America or from Mexico are our #1 seller. Black ants and well, pretty much black ants and scorpions are big with chefs.
Yes, sir.
We'll love those.
Well, certainly the scorpions have eye appeal. Now, the chapulines from Mexico are more usually known in North America as grasshoppers.
That's
are
right.
they not?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And are they any different from any other particular grasshopper?
Well, there's actually tons of different kinds of grasshoppers.
Yes, sir.
So they are a certain type, but it's mostly the way that they're prepared. In fact, there's a few types that are, almost any grasshopper from Mexico is used in chapulines. But they're also mostly from alfalfa fields.
Okay. So, now about your company. Maine is noted, of course, for its, compared to Georgia, rather severe climatic events, like snowstorms and cold weather and being blocked in and losing power and flood and all of that kind of good stuff. And where, sir, are you located?
So we're located in a mill. We're on the 5th floor. So if we have any trouble with the electricity, we have generators. If we have any trouble with flooding, like I said, 5th floor, no problem.
Okay. And by mill, I would assume an old timber mill or paper mill?
Textile mill.
Textile mill?
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, they have pictures of the little kids on the weaving, what do you call it? What are they called?
Looms.
Yeah, looms, that's the word.
All right. Now, on the particular beasties that you do make and sell, what are they?
Well, we do quite a bit with the crickets. We have flavor crickets. We have crickets that are in cookies and things like that. We also have a lot of different products that include the scorpions, include the black ants, and that sort of thing. So these are all geared mostly towards consumers and chefs. Those are our 2 big categories.
Okay. Now, about your scorpions, I have been scorpion bit twice in my life, and not a pleasant experience. Are yours stinging scorpions?
Well, they are, except after a scorpion dies, within an hour the poison goes inert. And when they're cooked or dried, the poison's also inert. So you can eat them, you just have to wait a little bit.
All right. So don't chomp on any fresh.
That's right. Or as they do, they pick them up by the stinger and bite it off.
Okay. What sort of reception has your product had?
Very mixed, but in general, people love it. A lot of times they're very skeptical in the beginning, but once they try it, insects really do taste good. Black ants have a great, powerful taste, just 2 or 3 little black ants. You'll taste the citrus type taste. And that's one of the few that can say this is what it tastes like. The rest of them, it's a brand new taste. It's a brand new culinary experience, as the chefs say. So it's up to everybody to give it a try and see what they think.
Well, how and where do people get your product?
Well, we got very lucky. We started early enough that, believe it or not, we got edibleinsects.com. And so that's our store. Entosense.com is our site, and our company site, and entoblog.com is our bi-weekly newsletter. Every 2 weeks we put out a newsletter, usually having to do with 1 or 2 different insects or a big event.
Yes, sir. And if a person wants to cook with them somehow, do you have say a kilo bag or something like that you sell?
Yes, in the States, boy, I wish we went metric because it's tough, but in the States they're pounds. But you can go from buying a vial of black ants, which would cost $5, and there's enough black ants to cook with. Or if you're a chef, it's $238 for a pound, which is a pretty good size amount, and ants go a long ways.
Okay, and your crickets?
The crickets are about $39 a pound. You can also buy them as small as a little class size pack, enough for 20 kids in a class, which again is $5.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for introducing us to the world of edible insects.
Well, that's great.
And how we can get them pre-made, inspected,
That's right.
safe, and use them in our own kitchens.
Yep, all insects are raised for human consumption.
I'm speaking to Joseph Yoon of Brooklyn Bugs. Joseph, how did you get involved in such a thing?
Well, it all started when a friend of mine, who I really love and appreciate her art, asked me if I would cook with bugs for a project she was working on. And once I learned about why the UN endorses edible insects and how sustainable it is, all these factors really kept piling on and adding on for like why I wanted to participate, why I want to do it more and more.
Yes, sir. Well, what is Brooklyn Bugs? Is it actually a storefront restaurant in Brooklyn?
No. Brooklyn Bugs is an organization that works to raise awareness and appreciation for edible insects, and we have a really creative, fun, and delicious programming that works towards that cause. And we also really actively work to build a community for the industry and working as an advocate. And in doing so, we hope to get the right policymakers to create the proper legislation to help fund the academics that do the research for the information that we need that will further help us to pitch the legislators. So we're really working as an advocate, and in theory, but in practice, we do it by cooking the food, hosting events, hosting children's events, and really trying to be an active part of this Ento community.
Yes, sir. Now, for people who want more information, how do they contact you?
Well, I am very accessible through social media and on the website, brooklynbugs.com, @brooklynbugs, and yeah, that is me.
Okay. And you're here at this conference in Athens, Georgia.
Yes.
And one of the major movers and shakers in it, by the way, it's good to see you.
Oh, well, thank you.
How long have you been involved with these now international organizations having to do with the promotion of edible insects?
Well, interestingly, I am a newcomer to this, in this field, because my first event was Cinco de Mayo last year.
Okay.
So that's only like about a year and a few months ago. And then if you consider Brooklyn Bugs, the festival, that was over Labor Day weekend last year, where it really cemented my work and my commitment to do this. And so it's really been just shy of a year, but because of the commitment and the focus that I took to do this work, a lot of these associates and peers, I'm honored to even call them as such, and colleagues, we speak on a very regular basis to talk about global change and really raising the awareness on a huge scale that will have an impact globally.
Well, certainly what you might have lost in longevity, you have more than compensated for in enthusiasm.
Well, thank you, sir.
And drive. You have done
I
that, sir.
appreciate that. Thank
Now,
you for, yeah.
Are you a professional cook?
I am. I have a company, Yummy Eats, for almost 8 years now. And that is what I have done as a profession. And so it's interesting entering the Ento cuisine and Ento world from a culinary background, because I feel like a lot of people that enter entomology, they may come from an academic or scientific background and then try to apply a little bit of cooking into that.
Yes, sir.
But for me, starting from a culinary background and then applying my culinary acumen into what is a fascinating field of new ingredients and possibilities, it's allowed me to expand the potential, I feel, with the creativity that I'm able to lend and try to really create delicious and new cuisine with these new ingredients.
Yes, sir. Well, speaking of new,
Okay.
let me show you something new.
All right.
These are knives of my own design based on ancient Chinese patterns from 3,000 years ago, the Chinese Bronze Age. Now, in ancient China, bronze was a very scarce and valuable material, so a knife had to do more than just merely cut. The end is truncated flat. It's a scraper. This scallop here allows you to take the blade and do very intricate cutting and tracery. The flat blade, particularly on the larger models, allows you to actually pick up and serve with it, in the sense of a more standard Chinese knife. This oval is non-slip in the hand. You can dip your hand in grease and come out, and this knife will not slip because it's mechanically grasped in the palm. The oval also serves to break up spices in a bowl. It's a pretzel. This allows the whole set of knives to be hung by the workplace.
Yeah.
Rather than rattling around in a drawer or taking up valuable space on a block.
I'd take a look. There may be more functionality, but I'm actually, because I was actually wondering, I'm like, a lot of times you need the point, but you have a point on this side. As a chef, if you want to. So I was like, why is there a flat edge? The scraper, that's brilliant.
Yes.
Having this for fine, intricate work, I have to say, if this knife is available, I'm fascinated because when you pulled it out, I'm like, that's kind of a weird knife.
Yes.
But when you describe the functionality of it, I have to say, this is like MacArthur Grant for culinary knife design level of ingenuity. I love it.
Yes, sir. Well, this is designed after the Acheulean hand axe of our Neanderthal ancestors, only rendered in steel rather than stone.
Okay.
So this is a palm knife. It's designed to be held like this. Points in the kitchen are overrated. You either need a point or you do not. And so if you need a point a lot, okay, this gives you a very strong, stiff point.
Yeah.
But with this, I can completely dress a game out.
Yeah.
I can dress a wild hog.
So tell me though about the purpose of this.
Mm-hmm.
Why does this improve the ergonomics, or because it's not a traditional knife? Mm-hmm. And for me, generally, I use a traditional chef hold on the knife.
Sure.
So what does this provide in this manner that makes it
particularly useful? Okay. This is for the extreme backpack hunter. who wants to take a minimum of weight,
right.
equipment, and size
Yeah.
to do the job he needs to do out in the woods, where
Okay.
ounces count.
Right.
And so with one flat piece of steel, he can completely dress his piece of wood.
I see. Right.
So that's the origin of this
Okay. I see.
and its utility. Otherwise, if you were doing a lot of pastry cutting,
Yeah.
then it would have some utility, you know, along
Right.
that score.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, so there's a purpose for, I mean, just of like dozens of different types of knives, I mean, probably, maybe even more. And so this is definitely not like a chopping knife where I want to be chopping vegetables or
No,
something.
no.
Now that you state the functionality of it, then I have a better understanding of like why it's designed in this manner. This is the knife of great interest to me.
Well, we have several varieties of it. We have a longer version with a very sharp point.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the blunt point version there.
Yeah.
We have a truncated point that is like this, and we have a point that slopes out like this to a very sharp needle point, a
Yeah.
pencil point. That pencil point is not stable. It is too thin, and so we will resharpen it for as long as you own the knife, because sooner or later it will break, it will fail.
Oh, I see that. Yeah. Amazing. I love that. I love the way that this works like this.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are available, and you can go to my website. And here are the names of my website and my YouTube channel, so you can check these things out. And we do have a catalog showing our entire offering of knives, and we have more than 12 different patterns.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I look forward to checking out the different designs.
They are unfortunately not inexpensive, and we do it in a right and left-handed version. Or you can get a single grind, a double grind, and we also offer different handles.
All right. Yeah.
We also make it with a straight handle as well.
Okay. Wonderful.
Well, we have had a wonderful time at the conference and enjoyed your participation very much.
Oh, thank you, Javi.
And thank you very much for coming.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. It's wonderful to have your colorful personality and commentary at the conference. And I certainly hope this is just the beginning of our time together.
Well,
thank you.
Look forward to it.
All right, Javi. Thank you.
Okay. The next thing up that I'll have about the conference will be a YouTube slide presentation that'll show some of the people as well as some of the dishes that were actually cooked and shown during the course of the conference. Below is the contact information about the suppliers involved in this conference and also about my own knives and books. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.